Welcome to the battle. I'm Arunavi Sridhar. I'm going to anchor this marvelous event. By the way, we are honored to have our literature sir, Atchuthan Yogarajah, and we are extremely happy to welcome you, sir. And I would like to welcome my dear friends, parents, teachers, and fellow men in this wonderful and avoided occasion to change this evening as an amazing and interesting evening. We are glad about your presence. Today, we are here to share our knowledge about the topics in our literature book. It's a day to show your talents throughout this wonderful opportunity. Let's kickstart our events. Our students are here to disclosure their talents. And first, I'm going to talk about the poem The Eagle. The Eagle by Edward Lord Tennyson. The poem The Eagle was written by the most famous English poet, Tennyson. He belonged to the Victorian era. Most of his poems are related to the topic of nature. In order to boost his readers to appreciate the nature and its values. We all know that the nature connects our soul with God. That's why many Victorian poets focus their writing under the topic of nature. In this poem, Tennyson deals with many natural elements in order to add the literary value to the poem. And poet used the eagle as the subject of this poem. We all know that the eagle is a rare bird who is very different from other birds. Eagle is a symbol of motivation, different, bold, and powerful. Eagle's behavior is highlighted as a motivational behaviors. And here Tennyson used the eagle to portray the power of the masculinism. Poe uses this bird to compare the eagle with the high authority rulers. When we see the food chain, we can identify that the predatory animal beings are on the top of the food chain. As eagle is also the predatory bird, it also has a big power to survive in this world. And his solitary living also indicate this fact. Let's analyze the title of this poem. The title of this poem is The Eagle. Poe uses the eagle as a title because the poem's subject is all about the eagle as a powerful king and its solitary environment. When we skip the title and move on to the first line says the appearance of the eagle. He claps the grass with crooked hands. Yet the poet uses he to portray the character of the eagle as a human character, especially a male character. Greg visualized the living place of the eagle. Furthermore, the crooked hands portrays the hands, it means eagle's leg, and it gives the ugly look about the eagle. But another critic says that the poet indirectly says the eagle's dishonesty by giving this phrase. And when we see the next line, close to the sun in lonely lands, it shows the freedom of the bird. Eagle is not like other birds. It is exceptional one, and it is a godlike bird among the kingdom of the birds because of its by using the hyperbole and the exaggerated words, eagle's freedom was highly portrayed. We all know that the sun is the most powerful source in our solar system. But here, poet shows the bird's position is equal to the powerful sun, and it's a diction which used here to paint the sternness of the eagle to survive in all situations. Ringed with the azure world, he stands. It shows the environment around the eagle. Here, the azure portrays the bright blue sky and the solitary place of the eagle, which the eagle perched. And some critics says that this uses of this phrase paints the bright light which eagle has compared to other birds in the bird's kingdom. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. It is also another diction to portray the power of the eagle. We all know that the sea is the most powerful creation of nature. and it has the power to make the disasters as well. But here, from the eagle's view, the powerful sea is like a small baby who is crawling under. I mean that from the eagle's majestic, powerful view, the big, powerful sea seems as powerless. It shows the majesty of eagle, and the sea waves are portrayed as wrinkles, and it shows the high imaginative power of the poet. He watches from his mountain walls. Mountains are metaphorically portrayed as the walls of the king's castle, and it shows that eagle is living like a powerful king in his real life because of its majestic look and power of all these things. And it indirectly portrays the living area of the eagle and the life of the high status people in this world. They are living like a king, and poor ones are their right hands to do all these things they need. They get all the ease from the poor and used poor as their victim of greediness. And in my opinion, this line is the most powerful line to show the powers value in this world. Like a thunderbolt, he falls. It shows the eagle's capacity to fly very speedily and boldly. And from this line, we can take the bird eagle as an awe-inspiring bird. Thunderbolt is the most powerful thing in this world. It can affect our world in many ways. And here, using this phrase, poet indicates the birds flying as a thunderbolt. And the poet didn't mention the purpose of the bird to fly, but readers can understand that the eagle's speed flying is to make the innocent animals as the victim of its hunger. Let's analyze the themes in this poem. Majesty of nature. Majesty of nature is conveyed through the bird's action. As an ordinary human, we can't see eagle and its living place. We don't know about its movements. Here, the poet indicates that it's the majestic and power of the nature to protect its belonging ones, and nature changed itself as a shield for the eagle. Survival of the fittest. It is one of the major themes in this poem. It is not only common for eagle, but also can apply to the human world. It's a brutal and bitter truth that only the power and fitness can rule our world. Eagle is not like other bird. It has a splashing speed and sharp eyesight. It depends on innocent animals in order to get food. So in the world of bird, eagle is like a high authority ruler, and it shows the survival of the fittest one in this world. Power of masculinity. It also one of the main themes which poet wants to convey through this poem to his readers. Poet gives the gender of the eagle as a male and give the characteristic similar to the high authority people in the society, especially the men. And uh, through this line, poet wants to convey the power of masculinity. Freedom. Freedom is also one of the major theme in this poem. Poet uses hyperbole to paint the freedom of the bird, and it also similar to the freedom of the high status people. Here, the power can be described as the freedom of the bird. Let's analyze the poetic techniques used in this poem. The Eagle is very shortest poem in the world of the poem consists of two stanzas. Even though it is very shortest poem, it has big hidden themes and meanings. Each stanza has three rhyming lines and it holds as triplets. When we see the first line, we can understand that personification was used to give a human characteristic for the bird eagle. Poet humanized the bird with a male character. When we see the second line, hyperbole was used to indicate the freedom of the bird. Poet uses exaggerated words as well. And symbolism is used in this poem. The eagle is symbolized as the symbol of power. Mountain walls is the metaphor used in this poem. Like a thunderbolt, he falls. It is a simile which used to give the literary value to the poem in order to portray the power of the eagle's flying. This poem is rich in visual imagery in order to paint the appearance and the behavior of the eagle. Let's analyze one question according to this poem. The question is, Alfred Lord Tennyson very successfully brings out the picturesque view of the natural elements in the poem, The Eagle. Let's analyze the answer. Alfred Lord Tennyson is the most famous poet who wrote the poems relevant to the nature and its beauty. When we see the poem The Eagle, it is also falls under the topic of nature. Let's analyze how the poet pictures the natural elements in his poem. The Eagle is a poem which is all about the bird eagle and its environment which it lives. He claps the grag with the crooked hands. This line is fine example for the picturesque view of the eagle. By using the personification, poet effectively brings out the image of the eagle as a powerful king or the man. Crooked hands portrayed the strength of the eagle in the reader's mind. Readers are able to view the appearance of the eagle by the poet's uses of personification and visual imagery. Close to the sun in lonely lands, it shows the eagle's freedom in the sky. By using the exaggerated words, poet points the unlimited freedom which eagle has in the sky, which is like the high authority ruler in our world. As your world, this phrase portrayed the world of the eagle, and it shows the loneliness of the eagle as well. And this phrase indirectly says the bright life of the fittest one. And this, and when the wrinkled sea beneath him grows, he watches from his mountain walls. We can picture us the safe environment which eagle's living place, eagle place, and he used as his living place. And we can able to draw the eagle's living place as the king's castle according to this line. By using the phrase wrinkled sea, poet nicely touched the appearance of the sea from the eagle's view. Poet paints the vivid picture of the powerful sea and its wave by mentioning this phrase in his poem. Therefore, in conclusion, we can say that Alfred Lord Tennyson successfully brings out the picturesque view of the eagle and the natural elements in the poem. Overall, the eagle is a wonderful poem of nature, and it shows the survival of fittest in our society. Thank you for hearing. And now I would like to call Chargitian to speak about I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings is 1969 autobiography describing the young and early years of American writer and the poet Maya Angelou. The first of the 7-volume series is a coming of age story that illustrates how strength of the character and love of literature can help overcome the racism. I want to give the side for Sahiti.
Good day to you all. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. So this poem was written by Maya Angelou. So when we see the writer, Maya Angelou is an American poet and she's an actress also. And Maya Angelou is known for her series of 6 autobiographies book, starting with the title I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, which was nominated for the National Book Award. So I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings is a 1969 autobiography about the early years of the author Maya Angelou's life. And Maya Angelou racially centered poetry as a very powerful tone. And also the Maya Angelou's poem, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings is about the oppression of the Afro-American race, and she uses her coming of age story to display the ways in which racism uh, can be overcome by a strong character and a love of literature. So, as a young black woman growing up in the South and later in the wartime in San Francisco, and Maya Angelou faced racism from white and poor treatment from the many men. So, this is not a simple one. This is a universal problem in a word. It's a universal pattern. As this poem talks about the depraved people, that there are some reasons for the deprivation, that the political, social, war, and economy, etc. So in that way, in the time of 1969, before the early years, African was exported from the countries from the Africa to the America as to work in the corn yards. So in the time they were sold like things to the rich people. Uh, some they were told as a slaves. So in the time they were underwent to the racial discrimination. So that the white people discriminated the black people. So they tortured the black people. So this is a discrimination in this poem. So as the writer uses the writing to promote the problem of a group of ethnic in the world. So that when we see the poem, so the poem has 6 stanzas and each stanza carries up to 4 to 7 lines. And also the first stanza of the poem so describes about a free bird. So here the free bird symbolizes the physically and mentally free set of people. So according to the background of the history, we can identify the symbol represents the white skinned people. So who possessed power and freedom without any restriction. So in the first one, the writer tells about that how the bird enjoys its life, that the free bird has no rules, and in his life he is the only mastermind behind the all activities. So the phrases such as leaps on the break, back of the wind, float under steam, still the ground still, and dive dips in his wings in the orange sun rays build up. So these lines build up the image of the bird, that how it flies. So here the writer has used an effective metaphor. So sorry, effective visual imagery, and the free bird is metaphorically compared to the white skinned people. So as well as the second stanza, the poet contrasts the cage bird and the diction of the first line, the first diction of the second stanza. But so it's a conjunction. We use this to connect the two sentences. So as well as this but gives a negative meaning, that the poet says that after the but there is some negative tone about the group, she says. So the bird may be the suggestive of the dark skinned people who had experienced the mental and physical restriction from the oppressive party. So the narrow cage, clipped wings, and tied feet show the restrictions of their movement. That they, even though they are in a cage, they are also some restriction for their movements. So this shows the layers of discrimination that they had. So as well as the passive structure shows that, as well as it is indicated that the actions can be done by somebody upon them. So the bird lays down his narrow cage. So it creates an image of the movement, that the bird slowly moves around his limited space. So the bars of rage. So this displays the bottled up anger of cage bird. So it cannot be let out. So the only way of expressing themselves is raising her voice. So knowing that the suppressed one raises his voice as a song. So the song is a symbolic of their struggle and made against the powerful oppressors. So in this stanza, the poet used the technique of alteration in the line seldom see through. And she has also used the technique metaphor in the prose bars of rage. So, according to the third stanza, although the cage bird sings in a fearful, trembling voice, the cage bird fears for the oppression, which may result his singing. So although he does not know what is really he is requesting. So the reason is that it never experienced such a freedom. So he keeps on struggling for the right which every human being should receive, the freedom. So the power of the voice spread all over the world. The reason might be it is about freedom. So it is a universal crisis which many people face due to the caste, color, religion, so etc. So the line, his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the cage bird sings of freedom. So this suggested the impact of the struggle. That the restricted rhyming scheme shows that the desire to have freedom is restricted by oppressors. So the fourth and fifth stanzas again sharply contrast with the regard of privileges which a free bird and a cage bird include. So after including one comfort, they think of another opportunity, and the environment is quite favorable for them. That they have enough food and opportunities waiting for them, and they enjoy the beauty of the nature and also the world. So claiming that all comfort only belong to them, not anybody else to their sky. So this shows the enjoyment of the free bird, that how it enjoys its life. There's no rules, no restrictions for their enjoyment. It's like a king. So this concept is has shown in this stanza, as well as the sighing trees may be the suggestive that nature only worries about the black people's suffering. So the regular rhyme scheme shows the regularity of the progress. So the last stanza of the poem, the continuous struggle, that they are not ready to give up the battle till they receive the right place to live. So this stanza has already repeated from the third stanza. So by repeating the stanza, the writer promotes his idea towards the reader. So the idea is they want freedom. So the struggle of the people has been shown in this poem by repeating the two stanzas. So as well as these are my analyzing of the whole poem. So as well as this is the poem of Maya Angelou. So there are some different types of views in the collecting the themes, the oppression and the Afro-American experience. That the poem describes a cage bird, that a cage bird is trapped in a narrow cage with limited mobility, unable to sing about the freedom it has never had and cannot attain. So this cage bird is an extended metaphor for the black community past ongoing the experience of racism in United States. So it can be also read as portraying the experience of any oppressed group. So the metaphor captures the overwhelming agony and cruelty of the oppression of marginalized communities by relating it to the emotional suffering of the cage bird. The poet uses the metaphor of the bird to capture the not just the way of the oppression imposes over the physical limitations on the oppressed, but also the way that those limitations emotionally and psychology impact the oppressed. For instance, in the lines of 10 and 11, the poem states that the cage bird can seldom see through his bars, which seems at first as if the poem is going to explain how being in the cage limits the bird lines of sight. But instead of that, the poem further describes the bars of being the bird is present, and certainly the physical bars of the rage limit its line of sight. But the bird can seldom see because the conditions make the bird blind with rage. By fusing the limit, the environment and the anger can be separated from the another. So the oppression of the cage doesn't just keep the bird captive. The captivity changes the bird, and in so doing robs the bird of its very self. So as an extended metaphor used to convey the pain of the oppression faced by black people throughout the history of the United States. So aspects of the poem can be read as directly related to the particular experience. For instance, the cage bird song can be seen as an allusion to the black people. So the writer Frederick Douglass once said that slaves sings most when they are most unhappy. So additionally, the angel's image of the cage bird is one of the borrowed from the Paul Laurence Dunbar's poem Sympathy, which states, I know why the cage bird sings. It is not a carol of the joy. What both Dunbar and Douglas are saying is that opera's song is not sung when they are happy. They sung that when they are very unhappy. So the chorus of the cage bird sings, especially the mirrors of the Douglas and Dunbar insights through the song is full of hope of freedom. The fact that the cage bird can only hope the freedom makes clear that it lacks the freedom. So the song may be full of hope, but it is born from a place of a deep pain. And the hope can be seen as a primarily an attempt to cope the intolerable situation. So the poem points out the bird song springing from sadness is critically important because historically many defenders of slavery and other forms of oppression groups argued that the song and dance that was the main part of the black American culture indicated that the black people were in a fact of joyful and content in their situation. So the idea that such music might be expression of the cultural emotional pain which ignored. So the cage bird is an actively the notation that the musical expression of a fan oppressed group in a sign of contentment. So it is instead of that the opposite is true. In making American songs by a white oppressed and instead of asserts that the English forced by black communities by the white oppression must be acknowledged. So the second theme is freedom versus captivity. So the poem Cage Bird compares the contrast of the experience of a free bird with that with that the bird held in a captivity. So while the part of this contrast is meant to convey the injustice forced upon the captive bird, the comparison also allows the poem to explore how a free bird being thinks and acts, and to argue that the freedom is a natural state of for every living being. So with that an extended metaphor for the historical oppression of the black people in United States, the idea of freedom has been is an human's natural state of extends further shows the cruelty and the injustice of racism. So the cage birds longing for freedom also shows the black community's argument against the oppression. So the poem's first key insight about the freedom pertains to what a free being is allowed to think about, putting that more because the free bird is well free and it never thinks about the freedom. So instead, the free bird spends its time living and doing what it wants. When the free bird thinks, it is only of the another breeze and the fat worms. Thus, for the free bird, the freedom is natural, and also the free bird never has to think about the freedom. So it is very simply to use. So the free bird has no risk, no need to have the freedom. So it is also worth nothing the ways in which freedom gives the free bird a sense of entitlement. The speaker notes in the line of 7 that the free bird dares to climb the sky as it owns and repeats this sentiment later in the 26th line. So the all of the freedom the bird already has is continues to seek more from the world. It seems to be the freedom as naturally implying that it could be on the world. So it is difficult not to see this insight as referring more broadly to the way of free people, such as slaveholders in the American pre-Civil War of South. So their own freedom and lack of freedom of the black people they owned, as indicating that their ownership of their slaves was how the things should be there. So they saw the freedom rather than the privilege as a basic rights of a human being. So as a signal they used should not own everything else. So cage bird, on the other hand, because it lacks freedom, spends all of time thinking about the singing and about freedom. So much like breathing, freedom is experienced as something that is not only thought of when the longer here. So when one can breathe freely, there's no need to think about it. So however, when one can't breathe, of course, it becomes the only thing that he could think of. So in this way, the poem makes a clear emotional and that comes from the lack of freedom. The way it creates a present, not just a physical body, and also the psychological body of the bird, that the black people, the mind. So the cage bird, unlike the free bird, is completely immobilized. Not only the bird held captive in the cage, but its wings are clipped and its feet are tied. Thus, even the bird were to escape his cage, he would still be in the unable to move or play. So the total mobilization of the cage bird is likely representative of the layers of discrimination a marginalized person can face from overlook from the officials' policies of slavery and discrimination. So, so in a similar way, the immobilization of the free bird of a bird could also be read from a demonstrating just how overwhelming the crucial oppression can be. A bird that is already caged does not think about the need to have its wings or feet in the poem. So the bird is subjected to all three. So the poem then serves the damning portrait of the old forms of racism and discrimination. So in the particular of the racism and the oppression prepared by the United States against the black people. So we can comment on this poem that the writer is also an African American, as well as she had also tortured by the white Americans. So as a cage bird, she has also the anger and she wants to have the freedom. So as well as she can't fight with them. So as well as she uses a pen as a weapon to make a group of black people to live happily in this time. So as well as the pen has made the life of the black people in the United States is a beacon now. So this global issue is made our world in a group of people that it divided us. So each people were divided by the caste, color, religion. So the writer says about the dividing of the deprivating the people. So these are the main analysis of me, and thanks for hearing me.
Thank you, Sharipian. You have rocked. No one can stop you from doing your best. Now, I would like to call Abhishek to talk about the Vendor of Sweets. Vendor of Sweets is a novel which was written by the most famous Indian writer R.K. Narayanan. His works are also always relevant to the Malgudi and its people and its lifestyle. Let's see how far it's reached in the reader's mind.
The Wonder of Sweets by R.K. Narayanan. The novel Wonder of Sweets by R.K. Narayanan was based on a traditional and conventional personality of a vendor who runs a sweet shop in a small town in India. It's also based on the relationship between the two characters, Jagan Mali. Here, the three characters are taken as main characters. They are Jagan, Mali, and Cousin. Jagan is a businessman who runs a sweet shop, and he is the main character in the novel. He is a believer of Bhagavad Gita. He had routine work to read Bhagavad Gita, and he follows the sages of Gandhi and the sages' advices. And for the sages' advices, he in the start of the novel, he tells that we should conquer the self and taste should not conquer. And he says that this is also says of a sage. He mostly believes in a natural element and he uses natural things for his routine activity, and he lives with the thought of the old society, and he spun dresses by his hand and he wear. He concerned in religious things, and also he saved black money after the earnings after the 6 o'clock from his shop. He kept that as black money, and he do tanning activities for his slippers, and he says that we should not kill a animal to the comfort of our feet. And Mali is a boy who is the son of Jagan, and he is a student in a university, and he tried to leave the university and become a writer, and he also tried to go to America. He follows the modern society. He uses toothbrush to teeth his teeth, and he is the helper of Jagan for the tanning activity in his childhood. And Kasim, he is the man of the town. He visits the town houses till morning till evening, and people want him to do this or that. He is the mediator between the Jagan and Mali in the final part, and he routinely arrives Jagan's sweetmeat shop about 4:30 p.m. and he also helps to taste the sweets that are made in Jagan's shop. And also Ambika also take as a character here. He is Jagan's wife and Mali's mother. She refuses the natural medicines and she always took the East Southern medical, and she hates the tanning activities. If we see as the theme of the novel Went of Sweets, the generation gap is the main theme. The generation gap with the two characters, Mali and Jagan, having conflict, and also conflict between father and son. The conflict with Jagan and Mali is composed here as the frustration. There are many frustrations for Jagan in the novel, and relationship between Jagan and Mali also considered as a theme of this novel, and the Eastern culture versus Western culture, and the Eastern culture has had its own dresses and using neem sticks to brush, and Western culture eat meats and use toothbrush to teeth their